Welcome to Entrepreneurs International Network, where entrepreneurs learn, network, and grow. I'm Roger Killen, the Community Manager. Today, Arline Warwick is going to help you build your business with corporate sponsors. Arline, I've got 4 questions that will help us get to know you at a personal level.
Okay.
Number 1, what fun fact would you like us to know about you?
Well, one fun fact is I have another business and it is teaching survival swimming to little babies. So I can teach them as soon as they can crawl at like 6 months or 7 months. If they fall into a body of water, to come up floating within 3 or 4 seconds and stay in that position so that they can breathe and survive.
What can I say? That's just wonderful. Question number 2. What item on your bucket list excites you the most?
So how I got started with this business, I'll tell you all about, but I was doing some animal rescue because I really am in tune with animals and the environment. And my bucket list, I want to buy thousands of acres of land to preserve it for wildlife. That is my goal. It's been my goal forever.
Okay.
I have a little mini wildlife preserve where I live, but I need to go bigger.
Okay. Now, 3rd question. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
Well, probably being lost in the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, not lost for a real long time, but for about 48 hours. My husband is a sailor. He races sailboats. I live in Florida, and we used to go over to the Bahamas every year, like for 16 or 18 years. And one time we just got into a situation where the compass started spinning and the boat started spinning, and we didn't get any directions back for like 24 hours. We had no idea where we were. I mean, we knew where we were, and we ended up, we weren't like taken into a spaceship or anything, but we were kind of like out there going, uh-oh, what's going to happen next? And everything came back to normal, but it was just kind of a real strange experience.
Wow. You're going to have all sorts of stories for your grandchildren. Final question. What is the top quality that attracts you to other people?
Kindness. Just, that's it. Just kind, good-hearted people.
Great. Lovely. Beautiful answer. Okay, participants, a few messages for you. Arline is not going to be using slides. She's just going to be talking to you. It really helps her and her energy if you would please come on camera, if at all possible. Please stay muted and type any questions that you've got into the chat. At about every 10 minutes, I will ask Arline for permission to stop her and pose all your questions to her. She'll answer them and then we'll move on. That way we get a degree of audience interactivity, and we make sure that Arline gets all her content delivered to you within the 1-hour period. Please, recording. The workshop, as you now know, is being recorded, and you'll receive a link to the recording, which will be on EIN's YouTube channel. You'll receive that probably within 24 hours. It just means you don't have to take notes unless you want to. Okay, Arline, are you ready to knock our socks off?
I am ready.
Then I'm going to remove me from the spotlight. Remove spotlight, and then the show is all yours. Take it away, Arline.
Well, thank you, Roger, and thank you everyone for being here. So, once upon a time, there was a lady named Tina. Now, Tina had a full-time job, and she was also a health coach. And she was struggling to make ends meet. And she came to me and said, Arline, I want to get some sponsors. And she said, I'd like to do something for the medical COVID workers. So we came up with a plan that she would make gift bags, and we call them stress relief bags for the medical COVID workers. So she had some local sponsors, and they did a simple project. She did a simple project, and she was able to get, within just 2 weeks' time, $5,000 to use in any way she wanted. And it was money she did not have to give back. Now, that is not where we want to stay. We start locally and we grow nationally. But by doing this, Tina got the Haynes brothers. You've heard of Haynes brothers. They make the underwear. They became a sponsor. A car company, a local Ford dealer, they not only gave her money for the project, but they made this wonderful video that was shown to all of their audiences. So she got all kinds of visibility. And then a credit union, a major credit union got involved, funeral home, and some other companies. So the whole thing is it gave her instant celebrity in her town. And as she was walking down the street, people would beat their horns and wave to her and yell out their names, because she became really popular in her community. So the secret is to start locally. And even if you have an online business, it's very important to build your base. And the reason is, so many people go, well, I want the big sponsors. I want the $50,000 sponsors. And everybody does. But you can't reach out cold to them. You cannot just, call them up on the phone and say, oh, I have a wonderful product. Will you sponsor me? But by starting locally and working with your local Ford dealer, or working with a chain store, or a company that has that's a branch office, you build authority, you build trust, and most of all, you get an introduction to some of these Fortune 500 companies. Now, all Fortune 500 companies get involved with community projects. And by doing this, you have a chance to get on their websites, in their newsletters, and they have databases of hundreds of thousands, some of them millions of viewers, on their websites. So and I'll keep repeating this over and over again, because I really want you to pay attention. You've got to start and build your base locally, get known locally, so that you can grow. And for instance, you've probably seen on TV where a car dealer gets on TV and he goes, come on in, we've slashed our prices. We've got the best deals in town. There's a big, huge 4th of July sale going on. Well, you kind of start to tune that out, because it's the same thing over and over again. So what we do is we find a simple cause, and make our sponsors heroes. We spotlight them. We make them the good guys in the community, so that they are helping us do a give back project, a simple give back project, something similar to what Tina did with the gift bags. And by doing that, you can get a lot of free press, because you are doing something good for the community. And somebody mentioned, it might have been Kevin, that radio stations, TV stations, they have, by law, they have to do so much, give back type of advertising within the community to keep their licenses. So the main thing is, you build your base, you start working with some companies locally. Usually the best ones are family-owned companies or locally owned businesses that are a franchise. And that is how you get known, and that is how you build yourself to keep going and climb the ladder to the corporate. So you've probably also seen on TV where maybe a dad and daughter or mom are doing a project. They're helping the homeless, and they do a great project. They collect, 50, 100 boxes of food for these organizations. The thing is, they put in all their time, their effort, their money, and they can only do so much. And they don't know how to monetize it for themselves. They don't get paid for all of their work. So they're out there, using up all their funds, and they don't get paid. The other thing is, they don't know how to take it to the next level. So it might be a great, great project, but it always stays a local project. It always stays a community project because they don't know how to take it and advance it. And most all Fortune 500 companies do get involved with community projects. So it's a chance for you to get your name, your videos, your pictures on not only the local websites, not only the local Facebooks, but eventually on the Fortune 500 companies' websites. And then you have that introduction. So now you can start, with a proposal to get the huge sponsorships, like the $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 sponsorships, opposed to just the local sponsorships.
Arline, are you ready for your first question?
I am ready, yes.
This comes from iPhone. As a home decor business, what can I do to have a similar impact to Tina?
First, find a cause. Now, I don't know where your heart is. Mine is with animals, and I'll tell you that story in a little while. But Tina wanted to help the COVID workers. There's so many needs out there. Take, for instance, somebody mentioned foster kids. Gift bags for the kids that are coming out of foster care. They never get presents. Or if they do, they're very small presents. So for them to realize someone is going to give them a gift bag with maybe chocolates and lotions and some really cool things, they're thrilled. And by doing that, you can get free press and get known in your community first. So think of something, a cause that is dear to your heart, animals, veterans, homeless youth, whatever it is, and do something in that nature. I have a very simple blueprint that teaches you what to do, but that's a great way to get started.
A suggestion, could iPhone redecorate the room into which a foster child is moving and seek a sponsor to pay for that?
That is something that can happen, yes. But the best thing, the quickest, easiest, simplest way without getting super involved and with getting your sponsors and the community involved is using the gift bag idea. From there, I have thousands. I have so many other fun ideas, and that's a great one, Roger. But I tell everyone, start with the gift bags because it's simple and it's appreciated and it's easy. And the community can get involved because somebody can stop as they're grocery shopping and buy a box of herbal tea or buy a box of chocolates. So it's something that can involve not just the person putting on the project, not just sponsors, but also the community.
Lovely. No further questions, Arline, back to you.
Okay. So as I said, this is money that you can use in any way you want, and you don't have to give it back. So unlike other, loans and so on, where you have to give it back, this is like getting free money. So how I got started, I was, I've always, I've always loved animals. I've always loved the environment. And I was doing animal rescue. I live in Florida. It's July. It's 100 degrees. I step out of my car at an old fish camp. And I was horrified. There's like kittens and cats starving to death everywhere. And I didn't know what to do because I knew that I was with two groups and they couldn't afford to take on 40 more cats. They didn't have the space, the money, the manpower. So I started picking up these kittens and just stuffing them down my shirt because I couldn't leave them there. So all of a sudden I have these kittens all over me. I'm throwing them in my car. I'm going back and stuffing them down my shirt, carrying them to my car. And that's when I realized, okay, what we're doing is not working. So I did my research and I noticed that not just nonprofits, but also businesses, the ones that succeeded, the ones that really did well, they all had sponsors. So I realized there's something to this. Now, our first sponsorship, they didn't fund us, but they took some veterinarians took every single cat, spay, neuter, surgeries, everything. The bill would have come to $25,000. They did not charge us a penny, and they even helped us find homes for some of the cats. So that's when I realized, okay, there's something to this sponsorship business. And the surprising thing is, it's not just in-kind gifts that they can give you. They also can fund you. They can also give you money for your project, for what you're doing, because it's a marketing tool for them. They want more visibility. They want to get in front of other audiences. So you share their information with your audience and also get pictures, videos that you can share, that they can use to put on their Facebook, their websites, and so on. So it's going back to the car dealer that just is selling, the sale and how great their company is. This is taking a business or several businesses in your community and really honoring them and letting people know that they care and that they're the good guys. And in return, they give you money for setting up the project. I'm going to tell you another really cool story. This is one that I really, really love. A friend of mine, Jen, she lived in New Orleans and had a fishing charter boat. So she was really struggling because she was a sole owner and she did not have the means to do advertising like these fishing, charter boats that had 5 or 6 boats and were in business for a long time. So she wanted some sponsors. So she went around her local community, bait and tackle store and so on. And someone gave her some fishing lures and they said, here, try out these fishing lures. Let us know how they work. So she did that. And then she wrote an article, put it in, gave it to the bait and tackle store, the sporting goods store. They posted it on their website and so on. And somebody read the article and called her up and said, can we give you some equipment to use? And they gave her thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment to use. And so she did that. She used it. This time she wrote an article for like Boating World or Sailing World and, national magazines, international magazines. And then she gets a call from England and it's Jaguar magazine. And they said, we read about you. We want to sponsor you. Can we send some of our people down? Will you wine them and dine them and put them on your boat and so on? And then a freshwater champion, world-renowned freshwater champion heard about it. He wanted to get on the boat. And she said, as she's walking down the streets of New Orleans, TV stations, radio stations are following them because they wanted to get interviews. And then some other huge companies got involved. And then she told me she got a few more small sponsorships for about $10,000 each. But you can see the power of starting locally. and working your way up, because she could never have reached out to Jaguar magazine and said, oh, come on down and get on on my fishing boat. They wouldn't, they wouldn't have paid any attention to her. But by starting locally and building her brand, getting that attention and working her way up, it just started exploding, snowballing. And before you know it, she was getting, tens of thousands of dollars worth in sponsorships. So this is money, remember, that you can use in any way you want, and you don't have to pay it back, unlike other means of getting money for your business. And it works for just about anyone. So it could work for anyone here. If you want to sponsor, you can get a sponsor. You just have to know, you have to have the system. You have to know what to do, how to go about in a simple way of reaching out first locally and then reaching out nationally. I was doing the regular sponsorship thing, teaching people how to get sponsors and so on before COVID. And, everything was going well. And then COVID hit. And then nobody was having events. It took a long time before they started realizing you could do virtual events. So I got into a real funk. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? I don't, my business, like so many others, just kind of started going down the drain. So I just started doing my meditation for a couple of weeks, and I was bummed out, but I just thought, well, something will, come up. And that's where I got the idea and started realizing that everybody should, in my opinion, and probably everyone here believes the same, I feel like if you're fortunate enough to have food on your table and a house to live in and you're comfortable, then you should be giving back. And that is how it all came about, realizing that there's so many people that want to give back, but they really maybe can't afford it. This is a perfect way to be able to give back and also support your business. So it's twofold. You get to give back, and you also are able to make money to help you grow.
Arline, a question from Sai. Those are some inspiring stories. Which project was the most difficult for you to raise money, and why?
Oh gosh. Well, for myself, I guess I could say the animal rescue now, from the first step of getting the veterinarians to help us, then we started having some events that we do every year. So we got sponsors for that. But I call the veterinarians working, with me and the cats, a sponsorship. It's just an in-kind sponsorship. And that was the most difficult, because I had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue at all. And so I had to just kind of figure it all out. And then as I grew, my ideas started coming to me, and I started trying different things out, and it just grew with me. But yeah, that was a difficult time, because we didn't know what to do. And so that was the hardest thing.
I have no further questions. Back to you.
Okay, so if you are ready to, get going and make that $5,000 or $10,000, that is where you want to start, is locally. And locally, you are not always going to be able to get the huge sponsorships. You might be able to get $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, but that is where you are building your base. And that is what is so necessary to get known and to grow. I was just looking at City Furniture a couple of weeks ago, And they had a whole page devoted to Hialeah is a town in Florida, and there's Hialeah Elementary School. And they did funding, they went in and did landscaping and painting and so on. But the really great thing is the visibility. If they had a whole page devoted with pictures and with, I don't know if there were videos, I can't remember on that one, but there were pictures and of you know, a whole page of Hialeah Elementary School. So that could be, you know, that could be anybody. If you get involved and get working with the community first, and then you get your Fortune 500 companies and let them know, hey, we've got videos, we have pictures, we have everything. Because let's say you are a furniture store and you have a branch office in Denver, Colorado, or Hamilton, Canada, or where I live in Daytona Beach, Florida. It not just makes sure local companies look like the good guys, but the branch off, I mean, the headquarters, this is making them look good. They want to shine. They want people to know that they are helping others. And most all Fortune 500 companies get involved with not just one type of community project, but several of them. Many of them, you know, help foster kids, help veterans, help, you know, you name it. And it makes people notice that they care. And according to Mashable, 88% of people interviewed said they would prefer to work with companies that gave back. And 84% said they would refer that company to friends and family. And over the past few years, corporations gave away $60 billion, not million, but $60 billion worth of sponsorship money. So to companies large and small. So you're never too small to get a sponsorship. The money's there, but people, they're not finding it because they don't know where to look.
Question from Lisa Swift-Young. Can you take it now?
I can take it.
So Lisa is saying, are these the main action steps? Step 1, find a cause. Step 2, identify local companies. Step 3, pitch them on a project they can pay me to implement. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say so. You know, first of all, you have to realize that you can get a sponsor. You've got to believe that, because, you know, too many people think they're too small. But anybody really, if you want a sponsor, can get one. So yes, once you know that, once you realize that, those are perfect steps. Find a cause that's dear to your heart. Like I said, I have a very simple blueprint. Start with something simple and you pitch them. I think I know the order she said, but can you repeat that?
Step 1, find a cause. Step 2, identify local companies. Step 3, pitch those local companies on a project they can pay me to implement. Is that right?
Right, that is right. And we have different levels of sponsorship so that they can, you know, join in on whatever level they're comfortable with. But that's definitely, you've got it. That's basically it. The thing is, you have to really know how to reach out and what kind of companies are going to be able to have the authority to give you funding. So that's really important too. And, you know, how to reach out to them, what to say. Most people make the mistake of getting donations and sponsors mixed up. And donations are gifts, and they're usually gifts for nonprofits. Where sponsorships is not about you, what you're doing. I mean, part of it is, of course, but it's mainly about what you can do for them, how you can help them get seen, how you can help them become the good guys and, get known first in your community. And I was going to say something, I lost my train of thought.
Well, you remember it. Here's a question that I think you're on topic. This is from Patrice. How do we approach the pitch process? Do we do this in email form? Do we set up a call? Do we send a pitch deck? Any advice would be great, would help greatly. Thanks, says Patrice.
So follow-up's okay to do by email, but you don't want to do that. A phone call, a visit, a letter through the mail, that type of thing is the best way to reach out for the first time. And then, we do want to follow up, and you can follow up by a phone call, you can follow up by email, just depending, where you are, how easy it is to get around. In person's always the best.
No further questions.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember what I was saying because it was really important and now I've forgotten. But so I just want people to realize that you can have a project that helps others. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to say, so many people think that your sponsors have to be industry specific. In other words, if you are a health coach, a yoga coach, a financial coach, many people think that you have to stick to that category. But you don't, because even if you're a health coach, everybody buys furniture. Most people drive a car. Most people have a cause that they care about. Most people want to help in some way, even if it's a small way to give back. So locally, companies want, like the car dealer, the furniture store, the restaurants, and so on, they just want to be seen locally. And if you have an online business, and you're totally online, you don't do anything locally, it's still very important to get known locally. Number one, I believe everyone should be giving back to their local community. We wouldn't have all the problems we're having now if people thought more of others. So even if you have an online company, you want to start locally. And as you work with these local sponsors, you are able to talk about your business. You are able to take pictures and videos, which now, when you are ready to move on to the higher level, the headquarters of these companies, you can get your information online, get out there through them on their websites and their newsletters and so on. And that's where it will help you if you have more of an online business opposed to working locally. So I'm trying to think of another, this is a really fun thing that somebody did. They started with the gift bag idea, but what we did was they worked with a restaurant and had a car dealership work together. So the car dealership was able to advertise their dealership at the restaurant. And how they did that was the restaurant had a special menu, a special item on the menu. So for instance, Terry Taylor Ford was able to have a special dessert or a special pasta dish at a restaurant. So Terry Taylor Ford is going to bring all of his employees, friends, and family to the restaurant. And part of the Terry the Ford company, Terry Taylor Ford, special dessert. Whenever somebody purchased that, part of the purchase price went to his cause. So there's a lot of fun things you can do. You can get involved with surveys and questionnaires, and you can get kids involved in doing posters and artwork. The list really goes on, and there are a lot of fun things to do. But as I said, I like to get people started with something really quick and easy so that they can see some return. They can get some of their money back, get some money for their business. And that money does not go to the cause unless you want to give a percentage to it. The other thing is you don't really have to get involved with a nonprofit. So for instance, you don't have to, like, if you're working with a group, a veterans group, you don't have to get all involved with the veterans group. All you do is say, we want to gift you something. We want to give you a gift for the veterans or the foster kids or whatever. And unless the nonprofit wants to get involved, then they don't have to. So the main thing is you're going to make it as simple as possible for yourself and your sponsors and the group that you are gifting. And the gift is the gift bags. So you don't want to, have them really think a lot about what they're doing. You just want to keep it simple.
Ready for a few questions?
I am.
Sorry. This question is from Patrice. Are we trying to get hold of the marketing executive of the company? I'm not sure if Patrice means the local company or the national company. Any advice about who exactly at the organization we should be trying to direct our communication toward, and how do we access that person?
Okay, so locally, locally, you want to see if you can find the vice president, the owner locally. Some of them have PR people. So different companies have different titles. So my suggestion, what we've done is you don't just pick one person. You can pick one and then carbon copy the others. So you would be reaching out to maybe 2 or 3 different people in the local company. And that's the same as the national headquarters. They have different names. So one might be a person that's in charge of marketing. One might be somebody that's in charge of PR. So once you get to that level, you kind of have to, you do a little bit of research and see who, and there again, it might be 2 or 3 different people you're reaching out to. First, you would reach out to the media department with your information for them. And then do a proposal. And I help people with the proposals. And that way they already know who you are. On your proposal, you can put pictures and everything of what you've done with some of their local companies, their local branches. Does that answer your question, Patrice?
Leah asks, I don't understand the question, but maybe you will. How can you gauge what is the appropriate funds from sponsorships to request or accept? Oh, I think she's saying, how much money are you going to ask for? What's the right number?
Well, that depends sometimes on where you live. Locally, you can start, and it's where your comfort zone is and also where you live. For instance, if you're in a big city, you might start on a higher level. But usually locally, you are, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. I've had people start with 500. I've had people start on the lowest level is like 1,500. So locally, you are not going to get, you know, the huge amounts unless you get several sponsors. And the great thing is you can get as many sponsors as you want. The other thing is if you keep it simple for them, many of them will return year after year. So you build that relationship, but you keep it really simple for them where they do not have to do, you know, a lot of work. And that way they like you. They like it because you're giving them all of this visibility and attention and recognition, and they're really not having to do that much work. So they pay you to do that. Once you get up to the corporate level, most companies start at around $10,000 for sponsorship.
Sai asks, would mentioning them on the website be good enough after receiving the sponsorship? Or does an organization need to release news articles regularly whenever someone sponsors for the project?
Okay, so there's different ways that I teach you of how to give them that recognition and visibility. One way, yes, putting them on your website, their logo or whatever, but that is just the beginning. So you want to really, you can do your project. You can do pre-advertising for them, during, post-advertising, depending on what level of sponsorship they're giving you, depends on how much visibility you're going to give them. And, you know, it's not just their name and logo on a t-shirt or on a banner. You get more involved with social media and their social media, doing cross-marketing and showing, you know, doing maybe a quick interview with them, posting it and so on. Does that answer it for you?
No further questions?
Okay. So I like to work basically with companies that have the authority to give amounts of money. So there again, you want to know which companies are able to do that. And a lot of companies are locally owned and they're family owned, and they have the authority to give you amounts of money. So take, for instance, Lowe's or Home Depot. They could probably give you a gift card, but which is great, that's fine. But they are usually, you know, the manager doesn't have that authority. They're not able to say, oh, here's $1,000 or $2,000. But companies that are franchises and are owned locally do have that authority. So you want to, I'm not saying don't reach out to Home Depot or Lowe's, but they're not the ones you want to put your main focus on. Chiropractors, attorneys, they're usually really good. I know where I live here in Florida, we have a lot of attorneys that, you know, they've built dog parks, they've helped with this, and they've helped with different groups and different organizations, even small organizations, or you know, like mom and daughter doing a project. So they usually have money. Dentists are also good. Now, they are not corporate, but that doesn't matter because they still have the authority to give you money.
So I have my own question. How does the local dentist, the local realty office, the local veterinarian connect to a head office when there is none?
Okay, that's what I was saying. They aren't, that's a different category. You want to work with companies that do have that are franchises that have, you know, they're a brand with a higher level with a huge corporation. But what I was saying is you might get an attorney or a chiropractor that is just solo, but they still have the money to be able to give you sponsorship.
Thank you.
Did that clear it up for you?
Sure does. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good.
No further questions?
No further questions? Okay. So I'm trying to think of a really cool way for you to help each of you get started. If somebody will kind of just throw out what their business is, I can, you know, give you some ideas. If anyone wants to do that.
Professional listener.
Pardon?
Professionally trained listener. I listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you listen to people that are building, go into a little more depth. What kind of listener? Business? Do you help people build their business? Do you help people with problems? What kind of people are you listening to?
Okay, so twofold, like my target audience would be, you know, maybe a senior who's widowed, has no one to talk to, or a high corporate executive who's so busy working, doesn't have anyone to talk to. But in terms of corporations, I like to teach corporations how to be better listeners to become, you know, a successful business. Those are the two sides.
Okay, so I would zero in on one.
Okay.
And, you know, basically pick for you, it might be a great one would be veterans. And as I said, I always like to start people with the gift bags because that is something simple and easy.
Yeah.
So you get that rolling, you get that going. There are many, many corporations that support veterans. I mean, that's one of the most popular areas is veterans, animals, the environment, children, and homeless. You know, there's others, but that would be, you want to pick a major one. You don't want to pick like a real detail, like one like children with kidney disease, which it's a great cause. I'm not saying that, but it's not wide enough spread. So I would work with that maybe first, and then with that, find some companies that, you know, you can, like, for instance, who would want to help with that in your local neighborhood? There again, you would go to a restaurant or furniture store, Whole Foods store, something, hardware store, and build your project that way. And get, that's the way you get known. The corporation will get known. You will get known to them because now you have information and content to give them, to give to their media center. And that is the way that you get an introduction to them. And from there, you know, you can start with a proposal, showing them your project and so on, and work with them that way. Did that help you? Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great.
Here's one up your street. This is from Liz Murdoch. I'm an animal communicator and talk to dogs and cats to help their owners get their pets' perspective so they can solve challenges or transform their pet relationships.
So there, yours would be perfect, helping the local Humane Society or animal rescue group, if you have a particular one you've worked with. There again, the collection for items for the animals. I have a lady in Canada and they put on a golf event every year and she works with the wildlife group. So they are doing the collection for the animals. So that would be your way to get started, get the videos, interviews, pictures, so on. And then from there, you, if it's a car dealer, I always go back to car dealers because they always have money to donate. So you go to them, you get the pictures, you take the local Toyota company and really build them up, make them look great, take as many pictures, videos as you can, and then you take it to the media center of the Toyota branch, the Toyota headquarters. And this is what you did in your town. And that's how you get known, how you can get on their website, and it not just locally, where you can then introduce yourself on their Facebook, on their social media, on their websites, but also as you go to the national headquarters, you can get known there also.
Do you want another example?
Yes.
Arline?
Yes.
So I happen to know that Maureen McKinnon is
Mhm.
a career strategist for female executives. What might she do to get sponsorship?
She could work with female executives. So there's a lot of women starting over, either death of their spouse or they're coming out of a bad situation and they need to get back into the workforce, learn skills and so on. So there again, we always start with the gift bags, connect with a company that helps women that may have been battered. It may be a group that helps women starting over because their spouse has died or just came out of a bad relationship and needs to start over. And that is where I'd start with that.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Roderick.
You're welcome. Good.
No further questions?
Okay, so I have a gift for everyone. It's 2 gifts, actually. One is the 7 insider steps to the formula that I've created of how to get sponsors. So it's just basically a PDF of 7 steps to follow, what you need to do. The other gift is a list of 100 corporations and their contact information. So I gave you, I believe, Roger, that information if you want to put it in the chat. And also it will give you my calendar link. So if you have questions you need answered, you'd like to talk more about it and find out how you could get started or just throw some questions at me, that would be great. I really like to talk and I like to help people. So if you want, do you still have that, Roger? I can put it in the chat.
No, I'm just in process of posting it right now.
Okay.
Hey,
And there,
it's posted. Maybe you'll take a look and check that it's exactly what you gave me.
okay. And I also have a phone number that if you text it, it will take you to that. And I'll go ahead and put that in the link too. In the chat also. Yes, that looks slkt.io. That's it. And I'm going to put the phone number. Some people would rather just text the number. And either one will take you to both to the gift and to my calendar link. And I'd love to help you get started with sponsorships. Tina did it in 3 months. She had her sponsors, her beginning sponsors in 3 months. 2 weeks is all it took her to get her first $5,000. So it can be done. And the main thing is you just have to realize that you can do it. Sponsors are not going to come to you. You don't have the best business or the best nonprofit in the whole entire world. So when you reach out to them, you cannot talk so much about yourself, your history, how wonderful you are. It's all about how you can help them get more customers by being seen and becoming the heroes and the good guys in the community. So that is the biggest mistake people make, is they go on and on and on and talk way too much about themselves and what a wonderful job they're doing. the sponsors don't really care. I mean, they care, but you know, they want to get out there and get seen. They want to know how you can bring them business. And yes, you're doing a great thing, which they appreciate, but it's mostly about them.
Arline, your phone number did not appear in the chat.
Oh, I forgot to press the return button. There it is. That's the text number. Oh, wait, I did it to Lisa Swift. She must, I think, Lisa, you direct messaged me. Let me switch it to everyone. Okay, here it is. It is 833-547-2526. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to spend some time with you and get you started going, because as I said, it doesn't really matter what your business is. You just have to know how to kind of take it, switch it to a give back project, and then run with it.
Thank you, Arline. You've touched on my two favorite topics, doing good and making money, and you brought them together in this talk. So thank you hugely. I think you've opened many eyes to the realism and the feasibility of attracting corporate sponsors, starting small and local, creating the marketing collateral, which you can then use whenever you land the big fish.
That's it, exactly. And it can happen. It can happen, you know, quicker than you realize. You just kind of, it's something you have to reach out, just, you know, decide you want to do it and get on it, get going, because it can be a extra income for years and years to come.
Wonderful. EIN thanks you very, very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.